With US President Donald Trump ramping up tariffs in 2025, a quiet but powerful movement has been growing across Canada. You may have already seen it, tags in grocery stores and supply shops proudly reading, "Made in Canada." This isn't a loud protest. It's something more dangerous to US retailers, a silent boycott. 6 months ago, if you drove into the Walmart Supercenter parking lot on Walden Avenue in Buffalo, New York, you'd have found yourself surrounded by a familiar sight, a sea of Ontario license plates. Families loading up minivans with groceries, electronics, clothes, and bulk goods. Lines of Canadian shoppers patiently waiting at checkout counters, drawn south by the lure of low prices, variety, and tax-free deals. For years, this cross-border ritual wasn't just a weekend chore. It was a tradition, a savings strategy, and for some, a family outing. But today, that same lot tells a different story. It's not just quiet, it's haunting. Empty stalls stretch out like abandoned tarmacs. The constant hum of carts rolling, car doors slamming, and trunks closing has faded into silence. Once a vibrant symbol of cross-border commerce, the Walmart parking lot has become a concrete ghost town, one that reflects a much larger collapse hiding in plain sight. In just the first 2 months of 2025, more than 35,000 Canadian plated vehicles have disappeared from US border communities. That's not just a traffic statistic, it's an economic warning siren. Those missing cars represent over $5 million USD in lost retail tax revenue, vanished from the tills of American stores, gas stations, restaurants, and motels. And remember, that's only the first few pages of the 2025 ledger. The year is young, but the damage is already mounting. But here's the real question. Where did all that Canadian money go? Did it move overseas? Was it saved, hidden, lost? The truth is both quieter and more powerful. It stayed home. Canadian consumers, faced with a rapidly devaluing loonie, punishing tariffs, aggressive border inspections, and mounting frustration with US trade policy under President Trump, have simply changed their behavior. They didn't raise signs in protest. They didn't swarm embassies or start online campaigns. They just stopped coming. They closed their wallets, or rather, redirected them inward. They're now filling grocery carts at Walmart Canada, not in Buffalo. They're getting their gas from Petro-Canada instead of Sunoco in Niagara Falls, NY. They're booking weekend getaways in Muskoka, not in Erie, Pennsylvania. Quietly, methodically, and en masse, Canadians have turned their spending power back toward their own economy. And in doing so, they've triggered a silent economic landslide that US border towns were wholly unprepared for. What makes this shift so deadly is not just the dollar value, it's the lack of noise. There's no negotiation, no warning, just economic withdrawal, one shopping trip at a time. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Because when 35,000 cars don't show up, it doesn't just mean lighter traffic. It means closed shifts at Target. It means layoffs at McDonald's. It means motels and souvenir shops clinging to survival. And it means city officials staring down massive budget shortfalls, with no quick way to fill the gap. This isn't just a drop in sales. It's a vote of no confidence, one that speaks louder than protests ever could. And it's only just begun. So where did all that Canadian money go? The answer isn't in hashtags or angry demonstrations. It's in wallets that simply stopped crossing the border. This isn't just lost revenue. It's a trust breakdown, an emotional pivot, where Canadian consumers are choosing local over the long drive south. Walmart, Target, Macy's, once thriving on cross-border traffic, are now facing serious decline. This weekend, both Peace Bridge and Rainbow Bridge were nearly empty, a scene unheard of in years past. In just February and March 2025, Peace Bridge lost 35,619 Ontario vehicles, Rainbow Bridge another 29,537, the equivalent of a 2-month-long convoy that never showed up. Bridge traffic dropped 11% year over year, slashing toll revenue and gutting local economies. The biggest hit, US retailers. Buffalo's Walmart on Walden Avenue has cut hours, now closing at 8 p.m. instead of 10. Target in Blaine, Washington, eliminated an entire part-time shift. In border towns, local officials are scrambling. Mayor Marilou Stewart admitted her city's police budget is heavily dependent on Canadian shopping tax dollars. Seattle's Fox 13 reports layoffs, frozen construction projects, and abandoned commercial plans as border retail strips turn into economic dead zones. Gas stations, souvenir stalls, motels, once booming, now sit quiet. A motel owner near Peace Bridge says occupancy is down to 38%, even after cutting room rates. The Buffalo Wings gift shop laid off its entire night crew just to stay afloat. Inside Erie County Hall, the 2025 budget is in the red. Forecasts show a drop of $22.7 million United States dollars in sales tax revenue from last year. That may seem small, but it's already delaying road repairs, cutting library funding, and forcing difficult trade-offs. Mid-February alone saw an unexpected $4.9 million plunge. Every Ontario plate that turns around in Toronto costs Buffalo vital tax dollars. And that's enough to cripple a hospital, defund winter road clearing, or freeze teacher hiring. This isn't protest. It's economic warfare, silent, strategic, and devastating. So why the shift? Let's talk numbers. A weak Canadian dollar, now at 0.733 United States dollars, its lowest since the pandemic, means a $1 US item costs Canadians $1.36 CAD. Add a $100 fuel cost, $8 bridge toll, 25% surtax on US goods, 13% HST, and customs headaches, and cross-border deals become financial traps. A bottle of US cosmetics, once a steal, now costs more than buying local. And Canadian companies have noticed. Walmart Canada slashed prices on hundreds of staples in June, claiming its low-price strategy saves the average family over $450 CAD a year. Competitors like Loblaws, Metro, and Sobeys responded by freezing prices and launching new loyalty perks. The result? Canadian stores are now discount fortresses. dunnhumby's 2025 Consumer Trends Tracker shows 71% of Canadians plan to cut back on US food purchases. 1 in 4 say the shift is permanent. That's a drain of up to $20 billion CAD from US retailers annually. Meanwhile, made in Canada, pride is soaring. An Angus Reid poll found 78% of Canadians now prefer domestic products. Nearly 60% are ready to boycott US goods entirely. From dairy to denim, Canadian shelves are now patriotic battlegrounds. And US brands are losing. Walmart and Target, according to Barclays, risk losing $1.6 billion United States dollars across their 28 border stores if this trend continues. McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King, already down $350 million USD in Q1 sales, with outlets closest to the border suffering the worst. Apple, Best Buy, and even luxury brands are taking hits. Apple Store foot traffic at Walden Galleria dropped 25%. Gucci and Niagara lost 60% of its weekend shoppers. Some employees now rotate 3 days on, 1 week off to avoid layoffs. Even membership giants aren't safe. Costco and Sam's Club saw 11.8% drops in Canadian renewals at key border warehouses. A Costco executive admitted, "We're reconsidering our border warehouse model. It's no longer profitable." And it's not just the stores. This silent boycott is ripping through entire service sectors. Gas, motels, fast food, souvenirs, and US mailbox rentals. All tied to the Canadian wallet, and all watching it drive away. In February and March, foot traffic to US retail chains dropped 4.7% nationwide, with New York and Washington suffering even steeper losses. Walmart's internal memos show 3 border stores now on closure watch after Q1 sales fell over 20%. The message is clear. Canadians have stopped shopping, and the US is bleeding money. Will this affect auto dealerships, medical tourism, American universities? If Washington ignores this shift, if it doubles down on tariffs and customs crackdowns, it risks triggering the next economic domino. Until then, the parking lots remain empty, the motel lights stay dim, and every Canadian plate that turns around is another financial wound to the US retail economy. This is the power of the silent boycott. Quiet, relentless, lethal.